All right, we are back. It's been a while. Officer Dana Cato,
It's been a while.
how was your break? How were the holidays?
Well, they were uneventful. As far as Christmas goes, prior to that, a week prior to that, or a couple weeks, I went pheasant hunting in South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Yeah, my wife is from Fargo, North Dakota.
She is?
So my brother-in-law, who lives in Fargo, has been asking me for years to come out there and go pheasant hunting with him. And I'm not a big hunter. It's just not my thing. And you know, but he was pretty persistent, and I decided I would go. So they hunt twice or three times a year. One's in October, one's in December. I probably should have went in October. Yeah. and my wife kind of steered me that way. Maybe you should go in October. But at that particular time in October, with football season and everything going on here at the schools,
Can't leave during football
yeah,
season.
it's kind of a hectic time for me to go. So it worked out well that I had an opportunity to go in December, and I flew out there, and I was out there for 8 days. I hunted for 5. Out of the 8 days I was there, the highest it ever reached was 7, which means
7.
the real air temperature was between -2 and -20.
Oh my God.
The entire time I was out there hunting, one day it was -20 while we were out in it all day long. So very, very different. I had a ball watching the dogs work, pushing the birds out from under the snow. I mean, I had never seen anything like that. Very interesting.
Really? From under the snow?
Yeah, because once you get a snow cave, and I learned this from being in mountain warfare, but once you get up under the snow, it insulates you, so it keeps
Right.
you warm. So they would dig these little up under where the corn had fallen, the snow would fall on top of it. They would get under that,
The birds? The
birds, the pheasants, and it would keep them warm. So they don't want to come out; they don't have to. So you walk right by them, you don't even know they're there. Couple problems I had, so the dogs would have to sniff them out. Couple problems I had was you couldn't shoot a hen, the female, because that's against the law up there.
Oh.
You can only shoot the roosters, which are the males. And so when they would come up, you'd have to identify which one's a male, which one's a female before you could shoot it, which is not hard for a lot of people because of the colors of the bird. But when you're as colorblind as I am, it makes a big difference.
Did you shoot some hens?
You know what? Out of all
Off
the
the record?
hens that was shot, I think I shot one, and I think you can call that an assisted kill. I think the guy shot it and went straight up, because by the time they would come up at a 50-mile-an-hour wind, by the time they would pop up, you would identify that it's not a female bird. Aim in on it with a shotgun. It's got like a 50-meter, distance. That bird's gone.
Yeah.
It's completely gone. So I sucked at it really bad. So when it comes to like that hunter-gatherer thing, I wouldn't have been good at it in South Dakota. Maybe in October I'd be a little better at it. But it was fun. Went with my brother-in-law. I was out with my nephew. Got to stay there with them at their home with my sister-in-law and niece and nephews, and had a good time getting to really spend some quality time with them. And, after being out in that -20-degree weather, I've decided I really like my nephew and my sister-in-law. I'm not sure how I feel about my brother-in-law anymore. I don't know. I think he did that to me on purpose.
Probably did.
But anyway, it was interesting. It was fun. You could only hunt from 10 till 5, and then we went to the bar. So I did I did well there.
You did well there.
Yeah, I did well there. So I was at a place called Gettysburg, South Dakota. It only had like 38 people in it. I swear to you, 38, because it's all farming land, I mean, thousands and thousands of acres of nothing but farming land. And then one little bar there. It's probably about the size of a classroom. And there was 3 older ladies, none of them under the age of 80, that ran this thing. And I'm not lying. So you had to scream at them what you wanted to drink. And I did ask one of them, I said, listen, is there really only 38 people in this town? Because that's what the sign says.
There's a sign?
It said 38, Gettysburg, 38. But one of the farmers there told me, I said, well, there was this guy here, and his name was Joe. He told me his last name, I couldn't remember. He said he couldn't find a wife. So he went to the Philippines looking for a wife. And he never came back. So there's really only 37 of them. So that's the story of Gettysburg, South Dakota, which is
My gosh.
absolutely beautiful with the snow the way it was, when the sun would set. Coldest place I've ever been in my entire life. It looked like Siberia at times, but a great learning experience. I'm just not a hunter.
Learning
Next
experience.
time I go, I'm just gonna get out.
Just
and
hang
walk
out with the
around.
old ladies at the bar.
Yeah, well, why not? So, but it was fun. I had a good time. And of course, we got back to Fargo, and it started warming up in South Dakota a little bit the day we left. I think it got up to like 7. We drive 4 hours north to Fargo, and now it's 3. So it didn't really matter where I went. It was cold. Flying out was miserable. Flying back was great. Flying that time of the year's rough anyway. But then Christmas was kind of uneventful. Didn't do a whole lot. I don't mind it that way. Christmas for me, is I had been away for so many Christmases that Christmas for me sometimes is just another day. Yeah. My family's very spread out. So, and then of course my wife's family was up in North Dakota. So we just kind of hung out and did our own thing,
And the week between Christmas and New Year's, it was like mid-60s.
Yes.
70,
crazy, wasn't it? So I'm back here and I'm like, whoo. So I send them pictures, right? I'm in shorts and a T-shirt. Yeah. I'm like, check me out. Keep it. You can keep it. You can have it, So, but no, it was fun. I like going back up there. The people in the Midwest they're a different type people. They're just so nice. So like the service industry, it's just the people are just nice and kind and act like they really care, So just go there between June and September. That's all I could tell you. But no. But I had a good time, enjoyed it, and I look forward to going back. I'll probably go back sometime this summer. Got a lot of things planned this year, just going on. And, of course, going to Darlington.
You gotta do that.
My guys that I was at Desert Shield, Desert Storm with, we have a reunion in June. So I'll be going down to Jacksonville, Florida for a weekend for that.
In June?
Yeah, we do that about every 5 years we get together.
Oh, that's great.
So, it's going to be busy. School year's going by quick, too. Well, it seems to be. I mean, 4 months from now we'll be graduating.
That's true.
It's that quick. So, things are moving along very fast paced. And, trying to get this channel moving. People are viewing it, but you're not subscribing. And you need to subscribe. And let's get this thing up and get it running.
Yeah. So how does a Marine from Kershaw meet a woman from Fargo?
Interesting story. I used to ride with a motorcycle association called the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. And I had a buddy that I rode. He worked out at Fort Jackson.
I feel like they could have come up with a more creative name.
Well, they didn't think they wanted to put that motorcycle club on it. Let's just stay an association and just we ride. That's what it was all about. Brotherhood, riding, and helping vets, right? Raising money for vets, going out to VA hospital, doing different things like that. So it wasn't so much about being like a motorcycle club as it was about being, a bunch of combat veterans getting together and trying to help each other out.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, that's what they say. But it was a good time. And anyway, there was one buddy of mine that rode in there. Now, my wife was a flight paramedic in North Dakota. She started out as a ground paramedic, became a flight paramedic out there. And the flight paramedic service moved to South Carolina. And when they came, they asked her to come with them. And this was back in like 1999. So I didn't know. I wasn't even around then. So anyway, she went to work for them, and she worked for them for a while, and then she went to work at Fort Jackson, and she was a paramedic out at Fort Jackson. Well, so was he. Life goes on, and things happen, and blah, 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 and then here you are. I'm a single man. She's a single woman. And I don't know if this story's true, but I'm going to tell it the way I want to tell it.
That's all that matters.
She asked him if he had any single friends. And, of course, he showed her a picture of me on my motorcycle, and she was like, man, that's the best-looking guy I've ever seen.
Yes. Of course that's the true story.
Yeah. So he introduced us, and the rest was kind of history from there.
Man.
And that was back in like 2012.
And all because a brother and sister, both from North Dakota, happened to be at Fort Jackson.
No. It was a buddy of mine that she worked with.
Oh, okay.
At Fort Jackson.
I was thinking brother. Okay.
Yeah, no. He had been in the Army, and he had done some contract work, too, over in Nigeria and some other places. He ends up as a paramedic back at Fort Jackson, and then he and I end up riding with this motorcycle group. And, that's just kind of the way it happened. And,
Man.
And, here we are. Rest history.
Wow.
And then she takes me to Fargo, North Dakota. We went in, like July.
Hey, you were like, this is pretty
this
nice.
place is great. You got a VFW right downtown in the middle of Fargo on the corner. It's like a superstar place. Place is awesome. Got a great football team out there, North Dakota State University. I'm like, this place is awesome.
In July.
Don't go back in December.
When was the first time you went in December?
This was it.
This is the first time ever? She waited this long. She thought it might not last
She tried
after
to
that.
talk me out of it. She was like, you should probably wait and go the next, because the October had already passed. She was like, maybe you should wait till 2026 of October. And I'm like, you know what? If I don't go now, I'll probably never go. So let me just go. I got the opportunity. I got the time. I had the time. I said, just let me go. I'll go. So I came back here 2 days before y'all went on Christmas break, but I was still frozen. So I just said, I'm not going back to work. I'm just taking 2 days off. I need the rest of this to thaw out.
So
right?
the last week of school,
Yes.
that's when you were gone?
Yes, last week of school.
Well, no wonder we didn't do another episode.
No, that's right. So I've been
That's right.
gone, for a month or a little over. Seems like, quite some time. So I would have left there. I think I flew out on like December the 8th, somewhere in that time frame. And, here we are. What is it? What's today? 15th, 16th?
Yeah.
Of January. So it's been well over a month. Well over a month. So all my fans out there have been waiting.
And there's many.
Yeah, they're just dying in the weeds out there.
They are.
So, different world. And you go hunting out there and you to them, that just is everyday life. So the snow's like up to my knees and I'm having to stand. I'm like, the snow. They're like, come on, you need to get. I'm like, look, man, snow's deep. This ain't snow. To them, that's not deep. And then they don't understand that my legs are as long as their legs. And then they want me to walk down on frozen ponds and through cattails. And I don't know if the ice is going to break. And, everybody's like, come on, we got to move. We got to get there. Got to get there. I'm like, oh, man, just let's just get to the bar.
Just get to the bar.
Please. Because you can only hunt from, like I said, 10 to 5.
Did you get snowshoes?
No, and that's what I said. I said, we need snowshoes. No, we don't need all of them out there. No, yeah. And if I ever go again, I'm taking snowshoes.
You're going to be that guy.
I could have ran in snowshoes. So, but no, it's a different world. And those guys, man, they know what they're doing. They're good at it. And some of the guys that were with us, it was, a lot of them were farmers from up in that area. And December, I learned more about farming than I really need to know. But in December, that's their only time of break. So they harvest October and November. So December's off. They go pheasant hunting. One of the group I was with, as a matter of fact, landed here on Christmas Day, and they go down to St. Matthews and hog hunt the week of Christmas.
Really?
It's only, and I'm like, well, that's Christmas. And they're like, look, dude, you don't understand. December's our month. In January, I got to go back and start counting beans. I got to start getting grain together, getting ready to do my planning. So we can get ready for spring, and we get a couple months a year. Outside of that, they never stop working. And one guy ran into up there. We were hunting on his land, and he owned, I can't remember how many acres. I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I think it was like 17,000.
17,000?
Mm-hmm. But
That's a lot.
he's like 77, 78 years old. He came in and he was talking to us one night at the bar, and I was like, so farmers don't retire? He said, no, we die. Because he's still driving trucks from there to Bozeman, Montana every day, dropping off cattle or coming back, filling up beans and moving that and moving. It's nonstop. They don't quit. They just don't quit. I don't even know if you can call it a lifestyle. It's just their life. I mean, they get up in the morning and this is what they do. till the sun goes down, and they get up tomorrow and they do it again
And their vacation is let's go stand out in 7-degree
and shoot birds,
and shoot birds.
or go to South Carolina and shoot hogs. You know, at night with infrared, because this is what you do. You know, but and look, I got nothing against it because I eat everything they shoot. It's just it's just not my thing, right?
You'd rather be in the Kuwait Hilton.
Yes, of course, absolutely. It's much better there, eating turkey bacon. But
Exactly.
but no, it's a different world, and for them out there, you know, this is what they live. You know, I went up there for their summers. Of course, they're not as humid, as hot as ours. The wind up there, because it's so flat, just never stops. So we actually went fishing in a little pond. I caught a northern pike up there, biggest fish I ever caught. It was bigger than I was. It took me forever to get it in. But you go to one end of the pond and you just turn the motor off because the wind is going to take you. You going back, you just trolling along. You know, and the ponds are in the middle of cornfields. You just kind of come up on them. And no, it's a good time. It's a great place to visit. They have a sporting goods store out there called Shields, which I think is starting to grow a little bit and multiply throughout the Middle East. I had never been in there the first time.
The Middle East?
The Midwest. First time I went in there with my wife. We went into this place, and I was just, wow. I mean, if you can't find it in there, they don't have it.
And sporting goods stores, they're not what we think of sporting. It is everything.
Brother, everything. Fishing, weapons, unbelievable. Silencers. It's crazy.
in a town of 38.
Yeah. No, this was of North Dakota. This is actually in Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh.
But the amount of stuff they have in this place, if you can't find it in there, they don't have it. And it's a great store. I fell in love with it. Every time we go back there, I go, take me to Shields. It's not cheap. So my wife's like, well, you know, you can find that cheaper. I'm like, take me to Shields. I want to go to Shields. I mean, it's got an escalator, the Ferris wheel. And
What?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You know, they do things different out there.
A Ferris wheel and a sporting goods store.
Yeah, in North Dakota. But it's Fargo's a quaint little city. It's I would even venture to say it's a little smaller than Columbia and easier to even get around. And
Fargo smaller than Columbia?
I think so. The way probably the population is not a lot different, but this just kind of the way it's laid out. It's a nice place to visit. Great airport. It's smaller than Columbia's. It's like
it is.
There's a gate. You know,
there's a gate.
You know what gate
you
you leave.
have a gate number.
You know what gate you leave from. There it is. It's right there. So you know, it's like the bar's here. There's the gate. Can't miss your flight. So it's but they're growing too, and they're doing a lot of infrastructure up there. Their airport's growing. Fargo's starting to grow, like all these other cities. But a lot of farming up there, different things: sugar beets, corn, beans. I mean, they do it all. That was the thing about these birds that I talked to the farmer about. You know, I was like, listen, you know, does it hurt you when we come up here and kill all these birds, right? Because it's not just us hunting. There's people hunting everywhere. I mean, it's like pheasant season, but it's like its own. If it's there, you kill it. So he was like, absolutely not. He goes, these birds are a nuisance. They eat my corn. They eat my beans. They eat. You kill as many as you can. They treat the hens bad. They kick them out of their berthing. It's just rooster's not a good bird up there. You know, I don't get it. I thought it was a pretty bird. You know, and,
who knew? They're jerks.
I didn't know. Yeah, absolutely. And then I thought as I was up there in this minus 20-degree weather, I was like, man, we don't have pheasants in South Carolina. Could I have done this there? And sure enough, we do. It's not a natural bird to the United States. It was brought over here. Some of them from China, some of them from different places. But those up there are wild. These down here are kind of farmed. So it's almost not fair, right?
Easier to shoot.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You know, and then it got to the point every time a bird would lift up, I'd be like, bird! They'd be like, that's a pigeon, man. Put your weapon down.
You're on a park bench in the middle of the city.
And then you can road hunt. This is crazy, too. So you hunt from like 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, then you get in the car. There's 2 people to a car, 2 in a Suburban. If you're in the passenger seat and there's a bird on the side of the road over here, you get out and go shoot it. But if you're in the driver's seat and there's a bird over here, you get out and go shoot it.
What?
Yeah, road hunting is perfectly legal there in South Dakota, which I couldn't quite understand. And then here was the thing. I was like, well, I'm be good at this because in Iraq, you just roll the window down and start shooting. They're like, nope, you can't shoot
Could
from
you
the
mount
car.
a 50 cal to the top
see,
of the
that
Suburban?
was the thing. You can't shoot from the car. You got to get out. So, and I'm like, that's a rooster, right? That's a rooster, you know. So by the time I get around there and slide all over the ice and fall twice and drop my weapon, the bird's gone. So, you know, just different world. But for them, you know, for those guys up there, that's just what they live in. They love it. That's their thing. And then they say to me, well, we couldn't live in South Carolina. It's just too humid.
Okay.
Plus,
fair.
you guys have those hurricanes. I said, listen, man, if it's dry down here, we pray for a Hurricane 3. Just come on in.
Okay.
Name it whatever.
Category 3's not
Bring
that bad.
Yeah.
Name it
Wet
whatever.
the ground down here. Those things, I don't think y'all get it. But minus 20? No, that's not our thing.
No.
Not our thing. So, but
Oh my goodness.
but anyway, that was my December kind of, you know, and I'm glad to be back where I'm at, and it's it was interesting. It was interesting.
Especially because it was like 80 last week.
Yes.
That was-
Yeah. It's crazy. The weather's crazy, and then I think this Sunday, if you get up early, you're probably gonna see some snow on the ground.
That's what I hear.
The great thing I love about South Carolina is by noon, it'll be gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be 70 degrees again. So I'll take it. That's fine with me. But no. Interesting.
minus 20.
Interesting. One day, maybe when we get done with this book, if we continue on with some other things here, maybe I'll get some of them down here and I'll let them tell the story that they saw from their side.
Yeah.
Because it's probably a lot different than the story I'm telling from my side, to be honest with you. Yeah, different world.
That would be great.
Yeah, we can do it. We can make it happen. No doubt. No doubt.
Well, I don't even know where to go from here. Well, actually, I do. This works perfectly because you're talking about the bar. And this one is about the nightlife. But before we start, how was my Christmas, you ask? Well, my father got me a gift. I mentioned before in an earlier episode that he's got a kukri that was gifted to him by Gurkha when we were in Korea. So he got me my own for the camera. You've heard us talk about it. This is what it is. I'm kind of scared to do this now. This is a kukri. This is it right here. And it also has, this was handmade with the handmade sheath. It also has 2 smaller ones. One is more like a utility kind of thing.
One is to sharpen the blade. One helps sharpen the blade. The other one they use for different things. I've actually seen them like pick their teeth like a toothpick after it's over. You know, hopefully you don't have a cavity when you're rolling that through. But yeah, one sharpens the blade, and the other one, and that whole weapon you're holding there, and that's a ceremonial one that you have there. Is used like a tool, and you'll see there's a cut at the bottom of that by the handle. You know, you put 2 of those together like a pair of scissors, it cuts wire. So that thing is a tool. 100% a tool. It's not just a weapon to do harm with. It is a tool, a true tool for them.
Yeah, when I pulled this out, I was like, man, this one's one of the 2. I was like, one of them's pretty sharp and the other one's pretty dull. And then my dad was like, the dull one is the one that they use to sharpen it.
Yeah.
So this is what one looks like.
And that one is very well made. Very well made. Some of them are crude because they make a lot of them, you know, just out while they're doing their thing. They'll make those on the spot they can make them in the field.
They make them from everything.
Yeah.
Any piece of metal they see. That
absolutely. And some of them are very crude, but that is a very nice one right there. Very nice.
Well, that was my big Christmas gift.
That's nice.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I like it.
You need to put that in the frame and
I do. We'll
roll it up.
Put it right there.
Yeah, you
hang up in here.
Absolutely.
In the school. I think that's probably against the rules, but it's fine. It'll be okay.
Oh, I forgot where we were.
I know. That ruins the plan to drink next time. Maybe we'll do one on site in North Dakota.
We could do that
in July.
in July. In July. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of Gurkhas, speaking of nightlife, and the bar in the town of 38, run by the three old ladies, this next part of the book dealt with nightlife in the Green Zone.
It did, yeah.
And it started, because it seems like forever when we left off. When we left off was getting the invitation to dinner with the Gurkhas, you and Denny.
Yes.
Well, Denny, and then you kind of...
Yeah, I kind of got tagged along, I guess. Hey, it's like, I'm the third leg. So, yeah.
So it says, just to start the next chapter, it says dinner with the Gurkhas wasn't just a meal. It was an event with rich traditions and rituals that go back hundreds of years, filled with sacrifice, thankfulness, forgiveness, laughter, and fun. And I think you can go, and then you do, but I'll just let you tell it. Talk about the goat.
Well, the Gurkhas are just very spiritual people. They're connected, seems like, to everything. Kind of reminds me of the American Indians back in the day, where they were just so connected to earth and sky and water and food, and whatever the case may be. Gurkhas still hold that tradition today, and I'm sure our Native Americans do too, in some fashion or point of their reservations, how they do things. But those guys are just, if they were going to kill this goat for us to eat that night, not ceremonial. It's just that they're eating. It's food for them. So they just treat this goat so well during the day. It's better than we treat humans. And, let the goat run free. They feed it whatever they want. The goat can go wherever it wants to go.
You said it went into people's living quarters.
It'd walk right into your living quarters, wherever it wanted to go. And if it did, the other Gurkhas that weren't even involved, they're like getting ready to go to work, or they're going, it's not their weekend off. They pet, stroke the goat, treat the goat like a family pet almost. So that goat, for that one day, lives this, I guess, as far as a goat life goes, the most perfect life it could live for a day. It's treated like royalty. And then, of course, that evening when they get ready to sacrifice the goat, they spread the goat out, take that kukri right there, and they say a prayer. And the prayer is that they don't harm that goat, that the death is relatively quick, no pain comes to the goat. And then they get one swift, boom, head's gone. They take it right off.
Wow.
Fast as they can. And then there's a very solemn moment, where there's almost a point of sadness that they've taken the life of this animal. But that animal is going to give them the nutrition that their bodies need for the night, right? And they're not going to waste any of it if they don't have to. And that's a fact.
That is what he said. That's what he said. He said, I should not be surprised if a piece of snout showed up on my plate.
Yeah, Denny was like, look now, if you want to offend these guys, don't eat what they feed you. And that's what's going to do it. So they're gonna throw this food on your plate. They're going to throw more food on your plate than you can eat. Think about where they come from, and that they don't, their food sometimes rationed, this, that, and they're making sure that you were taken care of tonight. They're going to feed you. Don't be surprised what's on that plate. Don't look at it funny. Just eat it and move on, man. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get that? When I was a kid, if it hadn't been for grilled cheese sandwiches, I wouldn't have survived. Because I just didn't eat anything. I wouldn't eat anything green, or, if it sounded funny, I wouldn't touch it. Like, I wouldn't touch a salad. I wouldn't eat salad, right? I do now, but I wouldn't then. So, and I'm still kind of picky about things. But at this point, I was like, man, God, a snout. What? An eyeball? But eyeballs are full of protein.
Did they serve eyeballs from the goat?
Why not?
Well, I can think of why not.
Well, it's full of protein. It is an eyeball is nothing but protein.
It's not nothing, but it's also
an
eyeball, lenses, irises.
Well, but you mix it all in there and cut it all up. It's just
so it wasn't like there was an eyeball floating.
Right,
it was chopped up.
Right.
So you didn't know.
Chopped. I didn't know.
Okay,
I didn't know.
That's
but
the best way
there
to
could be some things in there that didn't look like. It's like when I was in Saudi Arabia, and they cut up the goat or whatever to eat it. It's not like we have USDA grade A
Right.
stuff here, right? They don't take the veins and stuff out there, the arteries. So you're looking at a piece of meat. You might be looking right through the middle of it. You just got to eat around that vein.
Oh my God.
So, but you're still eating meat. It's no different. It's just the way we process and clean ours is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know what that sounds like, and I know what it looks like because I've been there and I've seen it. And most people in the United States would go, "Oh my God!" But you just got to get through it. You don't want to embarrass
Right.
the people that are what they're doing is very heartfelt to them, and you've got to know that they're taking care of you, and you got to respect what they're doing. So you eat it, but there were some things that helped me there.
You did say that. A few things are going to get me through this night. My will to show these men I could be someone they could trust as a leader. The beer. The beer. And another little surprise I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, they're hot sauce. It's Caspian, I think they call it. This is so hot. It's not even like it's like we don't have a pepper that compares to this thing, man. It is so hot that the pain receptors in your mouth start screaming, which was great because whatever I was eating, I really couldn't taste because my mouth's on fire. I'm sweating like it's 400 degrees outside. Every bit of me just dripping. And I'm slamming these beers just to get this down. And that's another thing about the beers, too. You halfway through a beer, they grab a beer, they're like, "Oh, stop." They ain't giving you a no. You got half a beer, you're out of beer in their mind. So it's just beers are coming and just coming. And it's good they're coming because I'm on fire. And it doesn't go away quick. But surprisingly, meat was very tender. It was almost like it was cooked in a crock pot. The goat meat was very tender, tasted very good. The vegetables they put with it were good. So it wasn't a bad meal or bad flavors. Just when they threw that hot stuff on top of it, oh my Lord, it kind of just set the whole world off. But yeah, got through it. Got through it good. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It was good.
It was interesting.
Well, and then we get into the nightlife and everything. And then Denny said, why hadn't you partaken in the festivities before? And you said, I didn't know they had it.
I didn't. When I left, Ronnie had, I told Ronnie when I got there, and I was like, that night that I was just absolutely drained in my mind. It's like, anywhere we can get a drink. He's like, well, next door is the Al Rashid Hotel. It used to be a bowling alley at the bottom of that and had a little bar in it. So we'd go over there and you could drink a beer. And I don't think they had anything else, hard liquor or whatever the case. But that's really the only place I knew at the time you could go and get. And Denny's like, oh, no, man. The Green Zone has an underground that is jumping. And I didn't even know it.
And how long had you been there at this point?
Been a while. I'd been there at least 6 months, had left and then come back. So, yeah, I stuck pretty much to the compound at the time. And between there and the Gurkha compound, sometimes I'd go eat breakfast there in the mornings because they had their own little thing. But or the Green Zone Cafe, which I knew was there, and that place served like little pizzas and stuff to everybody in the Green Zone, with hot dogs on it to make it look like they had pepperonis on there. It was weird, man. It was just weird. But so they serve beer there too. So you could go there. I'd stop in there sometime and eat and drive over and get a pizza or whatever, have a few beers with a few buddies. But I didn't know the extent of everything that the Green Zone really had to offer. The Green Zone just wasn't that big. But there was a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on.
Well, and the first thing you mentioned was the Chinese restaurant. Did you not know that there was a Chinese restaurant?
I had heard there was a Chinese restaurant there. I didn't know what that meant. You go over there and get your rice and your shrimp. And no, this was a full-fledged outdoor restaurant, served alcohol, wine, the whole deal.
It was an outdoor restaurant?
Yeah, and it was right across the street from the palace. So right across the street from what we were using as the embassy. So all the embassy workers, all of those diplomats, that's where they went at night. They would go across there and sit and drink wine, and I mean wine, but they'd be bottles and bottles and bottles of wine. And just ironic that all of that's going on in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah.
It just seemed kind of strange to me. But yeah, there was a Chinese restaurant there, and the food was good. The food was good, and you could get a massage.
You mentioned that,
Yeah,
and you did not elaborate on that.
Yeah, but I never went to get a massage. I would just sit around and listen. Most of these diplomats just talking all the time. So it was just kind of a different world. Then it took me off. I was like, man, I never knew there's a bazaar there too that you can go during the day, and the Chinese restaurant's kind of right beside that. Well, I would go shop at the bazaar quite a bit. People would come from outside the green zone, and they'd set up shop and sell different things. Nothing amazing, but you could buy like Iraqi wraps and all these different type things. Movies, a lot of movies, bootleg movies over there you could buy. And the Chinese restaurant was right beside this bazaar, but it wasn't open during the day. So I just never paid attention to the fact that it was there, So we went over there and started going over there a couple times. And one night I got mad. Well, I'm sure I had a good bit to drink, but right beside, so it's like the bazaar's here, embassy's across the street, Chinese restaurants beside the bazaar, Chinese restaurants beside the bazaar. Beside the Chinese restaurant is the Army hospital.
Oh.
Yes. So when Fallujah kicked off, it started getting really bad. These helicopters are flying all these wounded Marines and soldiers in constantly. Helicopters won't stop. And I'm sitting there and I'm drinking. Me and Denny there with a couple other guys. These helicopters keep coming. And I know what's on them. I know there's guys dead. I know there's guys lost limbs. And this one diplomat dude who was always over there running his mouth stood up and went, I wish these GD helicopters would shut up. And I snapped. I just lost it. And I think that's when I don't know what, if you call it guilt or whatever, kind of came over me. It was like, man, I'm sitting here doing this. And these guys are flying. I know they're flying in here trying to stay alive. And it's not stopping. And I know this battle's just raging. Fallujah was absolutely horrible. And I just snapped that night. That one night I just kind of lost it. It just something there popped in me. I felt like I didn't need to be sitting there drinking a beer at a Chinese restaurant right next to a hospital where Marines grabbing on to everything they got to stay alive are being flown in, one behind the other. And it wasn't just Fallujah; it was from all over the country too. Other places it would happen, but you always knew when you heard those medevacs come in, man, that it wasn't good news. And when they would come in one behind the other, it's happening. It's on. It's not stopping. So there was a time when you would think firefights last 5-15 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And as you got into these inner city fighting, it's like Fallujah and even Somalia and some of these other places, firefights went on forever, And it's like you have to be resupplied ammo, which was unheard of at the time. So it's just, it's a different type of warfare when you're in a city, when you're doing inner city fighting or urban fighting. And I was just bad. That night was it just hit me wrong. It hit me wrong. And I felt like I shouldn't be I shouldn't be doing this. I should be back in that compound right now. I just felt that way. So, but I didn't. I carried on. I thought, what would another Marine want me to do? You're sitting there drinking. That's true. And go have a drink, brother. Enjoy yourself.
That's true.
Blah, blah. I try to look at it from that perspective. Plus, I'm making great money. And I know what that guy flying in is getting paid. And it's a different feeling. It hit me really differently.
But you're right when you said it. Is that Marine in that helicopter would want you to be sitting there at the Chinese restaurant
Sure.
drinking a beer.
Sure he would.
No doubt.
No doubt. Because I would want him to be.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no doubt. So, you have to, and I think that our suicide rate is so high when we talk about the 22 a day, and I don't know how factual that is. I know it's high. It might be higher. And I think a lot of it comes from that type guilt. People can't get in their mind that, hey, man, there's no Marine out there that wants you to take your life because he's not here. He'd much rather you enjoy the life you have that he gave his up for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did. And I'm speaking for Marines, which is ridiculous of me, I know, but they don't want you there.
No.
The Marine who is in the helicopter because he was in the firefight, he didn't want you next to him in that firefight.
No. And that's hard for you to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And try, and it's still hard for me to wrap my head around. But, there's too many people, not just Marines, but, Army, soldiers, sailors, airmen, gave their lives in hopes that others would go and enjoy theirs.
Yeah. That's what they do it for.
I'm doing this so that you can carry on. Go enjoy your life. Go on and enjoy your life. And I know where that guilt is. I've felt that guilt, and there's still times that I do. But they would want you to enjoy your life. Absolutely. They're doing it for a reason. Carry on. Go enjoy your life. But that particular night, it hit me really funny. It hit me kind of weird. And, they had to kind of pull me away from there kind of quick. But I think that is really the only night that kind of hit me that hard.
Well, and that also belittles the work you actually were doing there.
Sure.
I mean, maybe at that moment you were sitting having a beer at a Chinese restaurant, but that's not why you were there.
No.
You were there doing important work.
Yeah. Felt like, but yeah, and then, it's just those type moments, those type things. I don't think anybody, well, I won't say anybody, but myself, I don't even know how to put that on paper. I just don't know how to put that feeling of what I felt at that moment on paper.
And you didn't put any of that in the book.
Because I don't know how. I just don't. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, it's a guilt and a shame that's hard to write down. Because at the same time, you also go back to the fact that I know these guys, if they were on the flip side of the coin, hey man, go enjoy your life. So I don't know. It's hard to put in paper, and it's even harder to explain.
I don't think so. I think you explained it well. I think everybody would completely understand what you're talking about.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But,
well, aside from getting kicked out of did you get kicked out?
No, my boys kind of grabbed me. I'm like,
Okay.
you got to get. There was one big South African guy there. We called him Moose. That's how big he was.
Yeah. No small guys nicknamed Moose.
Kato, man, you got to go. Boom. Yeah, he grabbed me with one arm and I was gone. So, I liked old Moose though. I missed him. He's a good guy. But and those were the guys that introduced it. Denny had known them. Like I said, he'd been in country a lot longer than I have. To the underground bars that these other companies had that I didn't know anything about.
That's where you went next. Was Blackwater, Global, the one that you worked for? Yeah, you said.
Yeah, we
not
were
naming these companies to protect the brand, but you will say that the parties hosted at some of these compounds were the best you'd ever been to.
Right, because you take Blackwater and Global, we were two of the biggest companies over there. All right, so our operation was massive. So you were constantly on the work. Like I wasn't going to be able to have a big party at the government compound, and I wasn't going to have it. But some of these smaller companies that were in there that had these smaller contracts, whether they be personal contracts, gun runners, just going from here to there, taking bodyguards, guarding people, and they take them home at night and put them away, and they're good. Well, they had their own little teeny compounds, and some of these houses had basements at the bottom of them, and they had full-fledged bars with bartenders and music and
so it was the smaller ones that had the bigger parties?
Yeah. Blackwater was too busy for stuff like that. They didn't have anywhere they could really do that. We were too busy as a bigger organization. But the littler people that came in, they had a lot of time on their hands. You know, there were some companies that were over there guarding, say, a Japanese diplomat. He was scared to death. He had to go to the palace. He lived in the green zone, and he'd have to go to the palace every day for maybe a 30-minute meeting. Scared to death because the mortars that are coming in, they would wear full gear. Some guy from a small security company pick them up, drive them 20 minutes over to the palace, walk them in. These guys would go in for their meeting. They'd come back out with all their stuff on, get me to the house. They'd take them to the house, drop them off, and that's it. Some of these guys are making between $500 and $1,100 a day.
A day?
Just to drive this guy for 40 minutes, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, and he wanted to stay in his house because he didn't want to get hit by a mortar. So they got nothing else to do except build these things. Some of them he made money off of them, you know. It would be like cover charges to cover the alcohol and stuff like that in the door. But yeah, but so here's this world inside the green zone that was kind of underground that just blew me away. And they were great parties. I mean, you just rage all night long. Sometimes we get phone calls. You couldn't hear anything. I'd see it's a Gurkha calling. What's going on? Saab, we have mortar out there. Okay, we'll be there in a minute. You know, fly over there, see what's going on. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We get mortared, and then we'll go over there.
You're like, man.
Yeah, nobody got hit. Nothing happened. Everything good. Everything's good. All right, Kyle, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then if we had good intel, or we could feel sometimes that, hey, this isn't going to be a good night. It wasn't like we did this every night, right? You weren't doing this every night. You just, maybe at the weekends sometimes, because, you know, we'll explain in a minute when we talk about Colonel Cowan. Yeah. So, you know, how the holidays over there worked. And Saturdays were days, so Saturday nights, yeah, you go out like Saturday night. I didn't know you could, but we did. But if you had a feeling, if there was something going on in the country, if you knew something, you stuck to the compound because you knew it was coming. You always had that feeling. But then there was always that outlier where, you know, that one stray mortar round is going to sneak in there and there, and you're not there
soccer
when it
game.
Happens. Yeah, soccer game. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
That was the, then you talk about the palace in the green zone that had a pool.
So they're having these parties at the palace every weekend. The palace, which is the embassy.
Like Saddam's palace.
Yeah. Which is where the ambassador is and all the diplomats are and all these offices are. He's got this pool in the back that's absolutely beautiful. It's like an Olympic-sized pool. The diving board's on one. It's got platforms. You just go up platforms, like diving platforms. Beautiful pool. Nice bathhouses. You could cook out all around. It's got grills everywhere. And they're just throwing parties every weekend. And I'm like, this is great, man. So we'll go to those things and we'll hang out there and this, that, the other thing. And, well, things were starting to loosen up a little bit, and they were starting to get an Olympic team together, and they wanted to start. Soccer was going to be their thing because that's what everybody played. And finally, they were able to get their soccer team together, and they were going to get them out of the country to play for the first time, like ever. So soccer team goes outside the country, and they're playing soccer. Everybody in Iraq is watching this on TV. I don't even know they're playing soccer. I knew that the soccer team came to the compound that day. They had a big ceremony with the government. Yeah, they had a big ceremony with the government. The government came out, shook everybody's hand. And, you know, and I'm thinking, man, you know, to get the teams together, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that they were sending them off to go play soccer. And it was somewhere next door. It might have been like Kuwait or something. It wasn't far away. Anyway, the soccer team goes, and they win. They win the soccer game. I don't know. I don't even know they're playing soccer. I'm standing on the diving board at Saddam's palace on one of the platforms. And I start looking out. And I'm like, what in the hell is that? I'm thinking anti-aircraft gunfire. But it can't possibly be because it's all around me at 360 degrees.
Oh, God.
And then I start hearing the sounds of the gunfire. All this fire's going straight up in the air. And none of us know why. And I dive off this platform into the pool. I'm up and into the bathhouse because rounds are coming down. Everything's said and done. We're trying to get back to the car because we got to get back over to the Gurkha compound. I mean, over to the government compound. We don't really know what's going on. When it all settles down, everybody's like, yeah, the soccer team won. And they were celebrating. Celebratory fire. This is the first time I hear the word celebratory gunfire. Celebratory gunfire. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. But you even see on TV today in the news when something good goes on,
yeah.
everybody's out there firing, right? Well, that night, everybody in Iraq was firing, just shooting straight up, and they had tracer rounds. So you just see these yellow rounds go into the air. Well, for every one of those rounds, there's 4 of them you can't see. So I knew how much ammunition was headed into the air. I didn't even know why it was headed in the air. So once we realized that, we knew these, I'm like, well, man, these things got to come down. And they did. And people were killed.
Really?
Yeah, civilians were killed. People out on the street, rounds come down, go right through them, blah, 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 inshallah. It is what it is, right? So, but this became a thing now, celebratory fire. So whenever something good happened, people just start shooting everywhere. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's just so, because you do see it all the time. People shooting guns in the air, celebrating, and you just, to think that people die from that is, it's.
Look, man, what goes up?
Well, speaking of things going up and coming down, you used to take people on the roof. You and Denny used to take people on the roof.
Well, as I told you, the compound I was on, we had the biggest building in Baghdad you could see. So we were like 13 or 14 stories. Now over here, I think and I may be telling a lie, but I don't think we have 13th floor here. I think that's a bad luck thing.
That's right. Yeah, you see a lot of.
So it kind of goes from like 12 to 14 or whatever. I think we literally were 13 floors. And then
great.
And then you can go to the rooftop access. So the one goes up one more, which is where my Gurkhas had their 60 machine guns mounted. They could see everything. They could see the whole green zone. They could see mostly the outside of Baghdad on this east end going back towards Sadar City. And then you would go up one more and walk out a door, and you're literally on the roof. And we could see everything, the entire green zone. I could see most of Baghdad. I think I've said before, we used to sit there and watch the grids roll, the electricity, to keep it on and off. Well, everybody wanted to come up there and get that view. And we used that to our advantage. So if we needed something, people would be like, hey, can I go up? It's kind of like, what can they do? Can they do something for them? Yeah, this guy, can you help us out with this? Yeah, come on. Get on the elevator. We'll take you up. So we would use that to our advantage. If there was something we would needed, we'd give them the best view in the green zone. They'd get to see something. Because none of those people ever left the green zone. So they never really went out to the red zone, the ones that worked there. Most of them that were inside there, diplomats, whatever the case may be. But if they could get us something that we needed that we couldn't get our hands on, absolutely. We used that we used it like money. It was a bartering tool for us.
Well, and aside from professing your affection for Dana Perino.
Oh, I love her.
You talk about meeting Colonel Cowan, and that goes into, you alluded to this earlier when we were talking about just kind of how the information for what you guys are doing gets out.
Yeah, so I run into him, and of course knew him from seeing him on Fox News, and knew he had been in the Marine Corps. And I got to talking to him, and when he realized who I was, he was like, "So you guys are at they called it the IGC, so it was the government compound, interim government compound." I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, I'd like to go over and check that out." I'm like, "Come on." So he's like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on." So I take him over, introduce him to Denny, and Denny didn't really know who he was as far as much
Sure.
as I knew who he was. Denny being Scottish and from Britain and whatever. It wasn't a big thing. I kind of explained who he was. Did he? He was like, yeah, I think I think I've seen him on the TV. And he said, yeah, I do the radio show now. And he said, I sure would like to do it from this compound. I'm like, really? Well, let's take you somewhere you can do it from. And we took him up to the top, and he was like, oh, my God. So he gets this view of Baghdad. And he's going to do his radio show live from the top of our compound up on this building. So he says, okay, let me ask you some questions before we do this. And he goes, how are things going over here, you feel like, diplomatically, since you're here with the government? And so I'm there, we kind of look at each other, and I go, well, things ain't going worth a shit. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, there's not a lot's getting done. I said, you got Ambassador Bremer's trying to do everything he can working with his government, but whenever there's an Iraqi holiday, the Iraqis don't come to work. Whenever it's an American holiday, the Americans don't come to work. The Iraqi Sunday is Friday, and our Sunday is Sunday. So nobody works on Saturday. So Friday, they're in church. Saturday, we're usually at the bar. Sunday, we're in church. And then if there's a holiday on Monday or Tuesday or Thursday prior, whether it be Iraqi holiday or an American holiday, nobody's working. So there may be 5-6 days in a row, nothing gets done except the guys that are out there fighting this fight. Diplomatically, nothing's getting done. And he looked me square in the face and said, well, I can't tell the American people that. And I said, wait a minute, why not? He said, it's not positive. It's not. I'm here to report positive news, and that's just not positive. And I think I knew at that moment. I was like, well, even Fox News, you're gonna get what they want to give you, and everybody wants to paint a picture, and Fox News at the time wanted to paint a positive picture. I understand that. I get it. But it's hard to paint a positive picture in war, man. Yeah. And in that government. But he did, his radio show went off like a hitch. I need to pull it up because he was like, I'm standing on top of the tallest building in Baghdad.
He did end up.
Yeah. And he's like, I have this great view of everything. I'm standing here with the guys that oversee, the security for the government. And, and he went on about what he'd been different places that day talking to different people. We just stood by and listened to him talk. And he did it live from right there, but he sure as hell didn't tell them what we told him.
We got to find that.
We could. I'm sure it's in the archives. It'd be easy to look up. Absolutely easy to look up. I could almost give you the date. I bet you I could find it and tell you.
Oh, that would be. Yeah, we're gonna find that.
We'll pull that up. Yeah, but he's a good guy. He's a really good guy. I've always been a Fox News fan. I'm crazy about Dana Perino. My wife will come in sometime and be like, because I watched the 5. She's like, Dana's hair looks a little. Don't you? No, we don't talk bad about Dana Perino. No, you can talk about any of Jesse Waters or any of the rest of you. No, you can't talk about her. No, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So, but I thought that was great that day, and him coming up and doing that, and just another part of the story that you're like, wow, here you go. But he did a live report from up there.
That's great.
We used the top of that building a lot.
Yeah, and apparently, so did some of the Iraqis trying to find out who the weakest warrior was.
Well, that's the thing about me and Denny. You get that mentality over there, and you start thinking you're kind of invincible. And we'd sit out on top of that rooftop at night sometimes, and we'd watch the Army, literally. We'd watch them fight. We'd watch firefights from there. We could watch them. We would watch the C-130 gunship go down the river, shooting. Some nights they would use tracers, and you'd see that tornado type, and some nights they wouldn't. It would just be all dark. You'd just hear it, right? And I'm thinking, man, I don't know what's scarier. At least with the tracer rounds, you could see where it's coming from. But if you're down there and they're just shooting it, you don't even know. I mean, that's just.
And by the time you hear it,
it's too late.
It's it's already.
It's too late. But but you could probably see it coming if they were coming down the river.
Wow.
We would watch firefights. We'd watch this, watch that, and They would shoot at us at night. They would shoot the rockets. They would shoot the mortars. And sometimes if Denny and I had a little bit too much to drink, we'd be like, we'd hear the mortar launch. We'd kind of look at each other like, who's going to be the first one to move? He's sitting there. I'm sitting there. And most of the time, mortars would hit somewhere in the green zone or they'd go by us. But then you'd hear that. And when we'd start hauling it, and the doorway that we had to run into was about as wide as that one. So it's one person at a time is going through that thing. If you get there at the same time, you're in trouble.
Like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Just getting wedged in there.
So, I look back on it now and I think, man, how stupid were we? But to us, I mean, some nights you're just so bored. This is what you do. I don't know. And it just became a game. And we didn't call it the weakest warrior. We called it something with some stronger wording. I changed that for my female readers.
Gotcha.
So
of which there are many, no doubt.
Yeah. So, but we would sit there at night, man. They would shoot these things in, and how on earth we never got popped is kind of beyond me. But we didn't. We didn't.
Well,
Came
you
close.
almost did.
Yeah, and the thing was that particular night, we never even heard that come in. Never heard it come in.
Oh.
So we heard, because there's a difference between the rockets and the mortars and the sound that they make, and then it depends on what kind of rocket you got coming out and what it was fired from or how it was sent into the green zone. Some of these things they just put in long metal pipes and would sling them, and they would come in.
Really?
Others they actually shot from mortars or whatever the case may be. And this one particular night, we heard what sounded like it was metal, cling, 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 something fall across the roof. And we were my building had two, it was a building here that would be the top. And there was another building that hooked to it. So it had about a 7th story. And we had gone down to that particular one. And I can't remember why. We'd walked down there for whatever reason. And this thing, ting, 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 ting. We're like, what was that? I don't know. What was that? I don't know. Kind of looking around. Think anything of it. Gurkha up top, he hears it too. He's on guard duty. So he gets his light and he starts shining down. He's like, sob, sob. We turn around and look, and it's a fin off of a rocket, right? The fin, what guides the rocket. We're like, well, where the hell did that come from? So we're thinking it went over us and it fell going over it, and we just never heard it come by. And we start looking around, and we'd been drinking pretty good.
You've been at the Chinese restaurant.
we'd been up on that rooftop for some time, and I can't remember why we came down to go into that particular building. But we started looking around, and right to our left, there's a rocket sticking out of the roof. So it had hit the roof. We didn't hear that. The fin comes off, flies behind us. It's what we hear. The rocket turns out to be an SA-7 Chinese-made rocket. It's very skinny. So it wouldn't have made a whole lot of noise coming out of the sky to begin with. Luckily for us, and I think I've said this before, just about every weapon in the world has some type of safety on it. So for this rocket, it was a pin that had to be pulled on it. Plus, it had another piece that would have had to pop out of it when it was shot that would have helped set it off. So whatever they popped it out of wasn't traditional. So they either threw it through a pipe and chunked it up there that came from the outside. Big long pipes that get spinning around in circles and circles.
That's
and
crazy.
Chunk them, sort of like what's those balls people do with
the hammer throw?
Yeah. So
Olympics?
they would do that until they got this thing, and then they could flatten it out and just launch it. So traditionally
It's pretty impressive.
well, it is impressive, but you take a mortar round, for instance. A mortar round, when it fires, it goes up. It has a pin that pops. You have to pull a pin. Drop it.
Manually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it pops off, and it has a pin that pops out of it.
So it's 2 pins.
2 pins.
You pull it
You pull
manually,
one,
and then
it pops one when it leaves the tube.
Gotcha.
Then it's got to rotate. And once it reaches that 12th rotation, it starts humming. When it starts humming, it's activated. So there's a lot of things that have to go on before that thing hits, but it's traveling for the 60 mortars, 3,500 meters, right? For the bigger ones, they're going 8,000. So it's got a lot of things it's got to do before
8,000 meters.
Yeah, before it actually arms itself, right? And then when it hits, it's going to explode. So if you miss one of those, if you don't pull a pin, or if that pin doesn't come, if it doesn't get the amount of rotations in it, it's not going to explode. And that's what happened with this rocket. It didn't meet all the requirements it needed to do to go. Had it, I would not be sitting here talking to you.
Oh my gosh.
So we called the EOD team. We thought, should we call tonight or wait till tomorrow? So I think we waited.
They'll walk up there and be like, Kato, what did you do?
We called the next day, and the Navy SEALs sent the EOD team over. EOD team comes over that morning and like, when did this thing hit? We're like, yeah, we're not real sure.
Sometime in the middle of the night.
We got spotted this morning. And they're like, wow. And then Denny's over there still about half of the bag. He's like, yeah, and we think we were standing here when it hit or something like that. I'm like, man, shut up. And then the Navy SEAL just looks over at us and he goes, well, if it did, it just wasn't your time. Because, if it was your time, you'd be gone. Because there it is. And if it was our time, we'd have been gone. That rocket didn't meet everything it needed to go off. And it was an SA-7. It would have dropped that building.
Really?
That's 7 stories. We would have collapsed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it would have collapsed us. So we were lucky. I mean, you'll see going forward, that wasn't the only time we were lucky. But we were lucky that night. And we were lucky a couple other times as well. But, that one, if I wasn't here now because that killed us, that would have been on me. I don't know any other way to put it.
My fault.
Yeah, that's on us. So, but we got lucky. Somebody was watching over us. I say all the time, I'm lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be alive. Not just because of that, because of a lot of other things. And, somebody just wasn't ready for me to go yet. No, but that made it, it was a very interesting night, to say the least. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then the whole chapter kind of ends on a cliffhanger because you said it was one of those nights, lots of rockets and mortars, and so you started walking around checking on things, and you noticed someone lying outside the gate with his boots as a pillow and a thin jacket around his upper body. You looked down, turned to one of the Gurkhas and said, open the gate. They opened the gate. You took the guy, threw him into, was it safes?
Yeah.
In the safes room and said, you have a new roommate, but you didn't say who this was. And why would you let a guy in? It
was Saeed. We had kicked him out. Remember it was Saeed.
Oh, you did say. Yeah. Saeed, I exclaimed, he rolled over with loss. You did kick him out.
Yeah, it was Safe's friend. We had kicked him out.
The one who he just brought in for no reason.
Wanted a job and snuck him past the Gurkhas and everything. So we had kicked him out. We're like, no, and I'd thrown him out. And, of course, Safe had said, he's homeless. He has nowhere to live. He has no family. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You should never let him in here. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know him. I don't care about him. Get him out. So, and a few weeks had gone by before all this happens. And so once that hit, I decided we better go check the compound. And Denny goes one side, I go to the other. And I get down there to the main gate, and I look down, and here he is. He's laying right in front of the gate, locked gate. Everything's locked. Can't get in. And he's laying on his boots for a pillow. He's got his jacket covered up over him, and he's kind of shaking. There's nobody around. There's nobody out there. Nothing.
It was like those animal, the ASPCA animal abuse commercials you see late at night.
It kind of felt that way. It did. It did a little bit. But nobody was sending me $19 a month. So... And I just kind of looked down at him, and for that particular moment, and I don't know, maybe it was from the realism that I just almost died there, whatever it was, I had a heart moment, not a head moment, a heart moment. I don't know why. Maybe I had too much to drink. I told the Gurkhas, I said, open the gate. And they were like, Saab? I'm like, open the gate. Because that's red zone, man. That's where everything bad's happening right there.
And you yelled at him last time for letting that guy in.
Yeah. So they get a little group together, and they're like, okay, they open the gate, and I go up, and I didn't kick him. I kind of booted him in the back, and he spoke no English. He looked up at me and he was like, "Keto." I'm like, "Get your ass up, grab your shit, come on." And he didn't have a clue what I was saying because he didn't speak any English. And I took him to Safe's room. They locked the gate back up, knocked on Safe's door. Safe opened the door. It was like 1, 2 in the morning. And I pushed him in there and I'm like, "You got a roommate." And I shut the door and I walked away. And that's pretty much where that chapter ends.
It is. It's exactly where that chapter ends.
So, and I didn't know, hey, this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And the reason I say that is there's a difference between having a heart moment and a head moment.
Right.
And wish I'd had a head moment, but I didn't. So, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
True cliffhanger.
Yeah. Whether this works out well or not, we shall see. We shall see.
All right. Well, so the next one, because that does take us to the end of this one. The next one is puzzle pieces. What are we gonna learn about in that one?
Well, we start to figure out a lot of things from now that Denny's come along. We're starting to figure out a bunch of gaps together anyway with the Gurkhas, with things that are going on with it. Now we're starting to understand, man, there's a lot of pieces outside the government, outside this compound that could make our life and the government ministers' lives a lot better. We were missing it. We were just missing this one piece. And now we're gonna find it. And we were gonna start hooking things together. Things are gonna start to move very well for us. Still not so much for America. But things are gonna start to move from our end at a pretty rapid pace. And things are gonna start to come together. There's pieces of puzzle that we're missing are gonna start to fit in. Things are gonna start to look good for us.
Well, good.
For a little while, anyway.
For a little while.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. That was a good one. Finally get to catch up, get back in here.
Yeah.
After too long. Too long.
I don't have to wear a full face mask and glasses. And
jump out of your car and shoot some pheasants.
Yeah. And I took a picture while I was up there, and I'm holding 2 pheasants that I didn't kill. And the dog's there, and he's got a pheasant in his mouth. And my brother-in-law's out there, and it's 20 below zero, and I had to take all this off so you could see me in the picture.
That it was really you,
right?
The pheasants.
And this 20 below zero feels like fire. It don't feel like coal. Everything that is exposed feels like it's burning. And I'm like, take pictures. He's like, well, I get the dog's not right. I gotta take the damn picture. Just take I couldn't take it, man. I was dying. So he gets a picture taken, and he's like, it's not good enough. I'm like, good enough for me. I'm done. There's your dead birds. I'm going back to the car. I'm putting on my stuff. We're moving on. Yeah. So anyway, man, I tell you, I don't know. My life has been just a whirlwind, and I'm glad it's not ending. I'm glad I still, I'm glad I still go do stupid stuff like that. It kind of keeps me going, keeps me on that. I'm just not gonna sit around and get old. It just ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna let it happen. So I can't. I'm not going back hunting in 20-degree weather and -20, but we'll find something.
Maybe
else.
hog hunting in St. Matthews.
I can do that. Hog hunting in St. Matthews at night, infrared light, that sounds
pretty good.
Good to me.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't mind eating hog. And pheasant's good, too, by the way.
Is it?
I had some while I was there, and it was absolutely delicious.
I would hope you had some.
I had
if you're going to deal with all that.
I didn't kill it, but, somebody else did. My poor wife, she's like, man, if I got to depend on you for food, thank God there's a food line around the corner. Yeah, you in trouble. If the only thing we got right here to eat's birds, we in trouble. So, but anyway, it is what it is. It's a good time. But hey, pick it up, subscribe to the channel, and we got some stories. We're a long way from done. There's not much left in the book, but man, it is rapid fire from here on out.
And there's still, even if there's not a lot left in the book, there's still a lot more stories to tell.
Rapid fire coming. Yeah.